Conor Benn is unleashing his full power in training, intensifying his preparations for the explosive clash with Chris Eubank Jr. However, Chris Eubank Jr., on the other hand, is showing no signs of slowing down as he relentlessly trains on the sandy shores of Dubai Beach. Embracing the intense heat and challenging conditions, he's pushing himself to the limit, refining his skills with each grueling session.
Training on a beach in Dubai, what more do you need?
Moreover, Chris Eubank Jr. discussed how the intense animosity with Conor Benn has affected his mindset heading into their fight. He acknowledged that while the hatred is strong, it's crucial not to let emotions cloud his strategy. Eubank explained that while his desire to defeat Benn is undeniable, he's determined to approach the fight with a clear, calculated mindset. Instead of letting anger dictate his actions, he plans to use his boxing intelligence to break Benn down clinically and efficiently.
You know, when you really hate somebody, you're not thinking straight. You're not acting accordingly. You're not sticking to the game plan. All you want to do is tear this guy apart because you hate him. You know, I do want to tear this guy apart, but I'm going to do it clinically. I'm going to do it with a boxing brain, not a mind full of hate.
Furthermore, Frank Warren didn't hold back when discussing Chris Eubank Jr., calling him a prick. When asked why he felt this way, Warren's blunt response reflected his strong opinion of Eubank's personality. He made it clear that he wasn't a fan of Eubank's demeanor, further fueling the already heated atmosphere surrounding the rivalry with Conor Benn.
Last one, saw an interview, I think it was with DAZN, where you said you're hoping that Conor Benn knocks out Chris Eubank Jr. Yeah, just thoughts on that?
Thoughts on it?
Yeah. No. Why did you say? Why do you want Conor Benn to beat Chris Eubank Jr.?
Because I think Chris Eubank's a prick.
Eddie Hearn hyped up the upcoming Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. fight, calling it massive and predicting a huge pay-per-view turnout. He emphasized how the fight week will be absolutely chaotic with intense media attention building up to the event. Hearn mentioned that the anticipation for the fight is sky high, with Benn looking like a straight savage in his preparations. He also pointed out the packed schedule leading up to the fight, including other major bouts like Boots Stanislaus and Canelo's upcoming appearances.
This fight is going to do so many pay-per-view buys. There's going to be so much attention. Fight week's going to be mental. We've got a massive run coming up now. Boots Stanionis this week, Dalton Smith next week, Ben Eubank the week after, Times Square on the Friday, Canelo on the Saturday.
Are you going to both?
I'm going to try and go to both if it's physically possible. Yeah. Johnny Fisher against Dave Allen. Less than, I think, 800 tickets left now for a complete sellout at the Copper Bosch, May 17th. It's a big run coming up, and as I said, can't wait for Ben Eubank, can't wait for Boots Stanionis, but yeah, Ben Eubank's going to be absolutely massive. Conor's looking like a straight savage.
Roy Jones Jr. weighed in on the upcoming fight between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr., acknowledging that it's shaping up to be a thrilling bout. He pointed out that while Eubank has the size advantage, Benn's exceptional punching power gives him a real chance to make an impact. Jones believed Eubank should ultimately win, predicting he would outbox and outsmart Benn. However, he cautioned that Eubank would need to stay smart early on, as Benn's power could change the course of the fight at any moment.
I think it's going to be a very good fight. Conor has punching power chances. Chris is the bigger guy, so you give Chris the advantage going in because he's a bigger guy, but Conor does have exceptional punching power, so it's going to be a great fight. I think Chris should win the fight. I think Chris should outbox him, outsmart him, but he will have to be smart early because Conor is a great puncher.
However, Conor Benn's training camp has reached a new level as he enters full beast mode ahead of his highly anticipated showdown with Chris Eubank Jr. Known for his intense work ethic, Benn has pushed himself further than ever before, focusing on all aspects of his game. Every session in the gym is fueled by his determination to prove that he's ready for the biggest challenge of his career. His dedication is evident, with every punch thrown, every sprint completed, and every drill designed to sharpen his skills. Benn's transformation into beast mode has been nothing short of impressive. His trainer has worked closely with him to fine-tune his technique and ensure his conditioning is at its peak. The hard work isn't just physical. Benn's mental preparation is equally intense. He's fully aware of the stakes, and his laser-focused mindset ensures that he will be fully prepared when the bell rings against Eubank Jr. Dev Sani expressed his curiosity about how the fighters will appear at the weigh-in. He pointed out that Chris Eubank Jr. faces the challenge of not only making weight, but also rehydrating effectively afterward. According to Dev, a significant part of the fight's outcome will depend on how well Eubank adjusts to the weight class. He believes Conor Benn, despite being the smaller fighter, will be relentless in his pursuit of an early knockout. Dev is unsure if Eubank will have the stamina to withstand Benn's early onslaught and maintain his strength through the later rounds. While he can't predict the winner, one thing's for sure, he'll be eagerly watching the bout unfold.
I think I want to see what they look like at the weigh-in, and even then he's got to make a weight afterwards, doesn't he? He's got a rehydration thing. I think a lot of this feels like it depends on how comfortable Chris Eubank Jr. is at the weight that they're going to end up fighting at, and that's where it kind of lies for me. Conor Benn is smaller, but he's very, very aggressive, and he'll be looking to just try and knock out Eubank as quickly as possible. And I think it's about, can Eubank, does he have the energy resource to kind of weather the storm and see Benn in the second half of the fight? That's kind of where it lies for me. I don't know, but I'll be tuned in on DAZN for sure.
Carl Frampton shared his thoughts on Chris Eubank Jr., suggesting that the boxer should consider moving up to 168 pounds, as he feels fighting at 160 pounds may be taking a toll on Eubank's body. Despite this, Frampton acknowledged the immense excitement surrounding the fight between Eubank and Conor Benn, noting that even as a boxing purist, he's thrilled for the matchup. He anticipates a chaotic fight week leading up to the event and is eagerly looking forward to the fight itself.
I would like to see Eubank stay at, I think 160 is hurting him now. I would like to see him fight at 168. But the appeal of this fight is massive. It's something that, I mean, it's even got my attention. Like, and I see myself as a boxing purist, but I can't wait for fight week. I think there's going to be chaos. And then I can't wait for the fight.
Barry Hearn sees the upcoming fight between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn as one of the biggest in UK boxing history, fueled by the intense personal rivalry between their fathers. He's backing Conor Benn, believing that the young fighter has the heart and determination to prove himself, especially after overcoming past challenges. While Hearn considers the fight to be closely contested, he believes Benn possesses the power to potentially stop Eubank Jr., despite Eubank's size advantage.
I'm not going to let you go, Barry. I want to ask you, but at the end of the month, obviously, big fight. Eubank Jr. takes on Conor Benn. Well talked about, well documented. Where are you on it?
I think it's going to be a massive fight. I think it's arguably one of the biggest fights ever to take place in England. The personalities, the backstory between the dads, everything works to make this humongous. We could have sold 500,000 tickets. I think I'm with Conor Benn on this. I think he's gone through more than enough in his life, which has now been completely exonerated. What a waste of 2 years of a young man's life. He's got a point to prove, but Eubank is the bigger man. So I see it as a 50-50 fight. And I believe that Conor Benn can knock out Eubank Jr.
However, Conor Benn is renowned for his exceptional speed, and he once again demonstrated his quick reflexes during recent training. His lightning-fast hands make him a formidable threat, as he can unleash rapid punches and precise combinations with remarkable accuracy. This speed gives him a distinct advantage in the ring, allowing him to outmaneuver opponents and land devastating shots before they can react. Benn's quickness is a key asset that makes him a dangerous competitor in any matchup. Darren Barker reflected on the deep-seated rivalry between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr., noting that the animosity between their fathers, Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank Sr., will always be a part of their legacy. He highlighted the palpable tension between the two sons, believing that this dislike will endure for as long as they remain in the sport. Barker added that this heated rivalry will culminate in a blockbuster fight, with the moment the referee brings them together in the ring, before the fight being particularly thrilling. The atmosphere in the stadium, he said, would be electric, with the energy from the crowd undeniable.
The dislike between Benn and Eubanks will be forever. As long as there's Benn and Eubanks on earth, they will not get along. And that is so evident between the two sons. And I just think it's going to be a blockbuster. And I've said this so many times when I'm asked about the fight.
Barker also expressed his excitement for the event, recognizing that the fierce rivalry would draw fans, regardless of their personal feelings toward the fighters. He gave credit to the stadium hosting the match, even though he wasn't a fan of Tottenham, and emphasized how the rivalry between the fathers has been passed down to their sons, making this a unique and special fight. He confidently predicted the bout would deliver unforgettable drama for fans.
That moment where the referee brings them to the middle of the ring, right? And I get excited even thinking about that moment the referee brings them to the middle of the ring, and then he gives them their instructions, goes over the rules and sends them back to the corner. Can you imagine the energy, the atmosphere in that stadium? A stadium that I have to give credit to, as much as I hate Tottenham.
I agree with what you're about to say.
It's fantastic, isn't it? That energy in that remarkable stadium is going to be electric, and I'm all for this. I'm all for this. Whether you love Eubank, you hate him. Whether you love Conor Benn or you hate him, you are going to watch this event because it's special. You know, this is quite unique in that the rivalry that the dads have, the son now have. They will never get along, and I think we can all agree that this fight will deliver.
Spencer Farron shared his excitement for the upcoming fight, highlighting the immense attention it has received from fans and media alike. He pointed out how the event has united people, with everyone discussing it, creating a sense of anticipation and importance. Spencer reflected on the iconic first clash between the fathers, Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank Sr., back on November 18, 1990, remembering how it felt like the entire world stopped to watch that legendary battle.
I'm looking forward to that fight. For the simple fact is, like, that event within itself is fantastic because it's crossed over. Lots of people are talking about it. Everywhere you go, people are talking about it. There was nothing wrong with that. That's absolutely excellent. Plus, I can remember when the two fathers first fought, and the second time is when they fought in October of 93. But when the fathers first fought, when they first went at it, I remember that fight clearly in my head. It was a Sunday night. It was at November 18th, 1990, and it was like, it seemed like the world stopped to watch that fight.
He praised both Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. for promoting the fight authentically, without resorting to staged drama, which he feels has only fueled the anticipation. Spencer expressed his eagerness for the fight and wished both fighters the best, believing the buildup is real and not fabricated. He's confident that the true winner will emerge, appreciating the attention and the excitement the event has sparked, both in the boxing community and beyond.
And this has drawn something from it because everybody's talking about it. And fair play to both men. They're selling the fight really well, which is genuine. It's not orchestrated. Oh, you're going to do this. No, it's proper. So I'm looking forward to that fight. May the better man win.
Tiernan Bradley, who has sparred with both Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, believes the outcome of the fight will hinge on who performs better on the night. While he acknowledges that Eubank has the size advantage, Bradley notes that Benn brings incredible speed and knockout power, making him a dangerous opponent. He expects a thrilling contest that will highlight the powerful legacies of both fighters' families, with each having something significant to prove. Bradley refrains from making a prediction, recognizing that both fighters have the potential to shine when it matters most.
Well, at the end of the day, you know, Chris is the bigger man, but Conor has spite in his hands. He's quick. He's not boiling himself down. So, you know what I mean? We could sit here and talk about all the points he's going to make for either fighter going to win the fight, but we are prize fighters at the end of the day. So who's going to show up on the night? And I think that's what it'll come down to.
You're looking forward to being there for the fight, and do you have a prediction?
No prediction. I know both fighters, and I think the both of them are going to show up on the night, and I think we're going to be in for an absolute treat. I think it really does display the power of the legacy build that Senior and Nigel Benn had.
Teddy Atlas analyzed the upcoming fight between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, noting that Eubank Jr. would likely aim to control the distance, using his hand speed and ability to land counter punches from multiple angles. Eubank thrives when he has room to maneuver, making him dangerous from the outside. On the other hand, Atlas believes Conor Benn will focus on closing the distance, looking to limit Eubank's space and movement, disrupting his ability to execute his game plan effectively.
You know, Eubank's, wants to probably keep it on the outside as much as he can and use his skill sets to, use his hand speed and his ability to throw counter punches and, punches from different angles. He needs space, or space accommodates him pretty well and favors him pretty well when he has that space to do that. And I would think that Ben would like to take that space away, like to kind of work his way in and maybe go to the body like a better BF with a Bevo.
Atlas praised Eubank Jr.'s ability to box well from the outside, particularly when he's focused and in the right mindset. He also commended Ben for his aggressive yet disciplined approach, noting his constant offensive pressure while still maintaining defensive responsibility. Atlas found the contrasting styles of both fighters compelling, as they each bring something unique to the ring, making for an intriguing and exciting matchup.
I like the ability of Eubanks when he's right, when his focus is there, when he's right, to be able to do things in a boxing way on the outside. And I love Ben's style and his approach, I do, where, being aggressive in a responsible way, in a way a fighter should be, with paying attention to, doing it with defense and responsibility of defense and, just proper way to engage somebody, but the consistent offense looking to, to engage. I think it's an interesting...
Ricky Hatton acknowledged that many are backing Chris Eubank Jr. due to his experience against top-tier opponents like Billy Joe Saunders, while Conor Benn hasn't faced fighters of that caliber. Additionally, Benn is moving up 2 weight divisions, adding a challenge. However, Hatton believes Benn's determination, self-belief, and mental toughness, traits he shares with his father, Nigel, could be key. He thinks these qualities might give Benn an edge over Eubank Jr. in the fight.
A lot of people are favouring, seems lately at the minute, favouring Eubank, aren't they? And I get why they've done it, because let's have it right. Conor's not boxed anyone near Chris's potential, and when you think who Chris has beaten Billy Joe Saunders, at that level, that's at his own weight. So to jump up 2 weights and to fight someone like Chris, it is a massive ask. But I'm quite, I'm quite close to to Nigel and Conor and. I think in his last couple of fights he's not looked quite as explosive as he previously has done, but in fact that he's not boiling down, he's moving up in weight, and Chris has to boil down that little bit extra. That'll help Conor.
Ricky Hatton also highlighted that Chris Eubank Jr. has faced challenges with weight cuts in recent fights, which could be an issue once again. He reminded everyone that the fight between Conor Benn and Eubank had fallen through before, and during Eubank's bout with Liam, his struggles with weight led to a knockout loss. Hatton believes that if Eubank continues to have difficulty making weight, it could impact his performance in this fight, potentially giving Conor Benn a better chance for success.
But I just know because I know him personally, the desire and the self-belief and the drive that he has. He has this real will not be denied type of drive, like his dad, to be honest with you. And really I'm thinking that might just... And Chris has been, stopped. He's falling down in weight. Last time he... don't forget, the fight with Conor fell through. Yeah. And then he ended up, he was boiling himself down. And then he fought Liam, and I think that's why he got knocked out. Because he was boiling himself down, which is what he's doing again. So, I'm going to go with mate Conor. Yeah,
fair enough.
Matt Macklin stated that Chris Eubank Jr. is the clear favorite going into the fight, but after speaking with Nigel Benn at the press conference, his perspective began to shift. Nigel's unshakable confidence in Conor's abilities was so convincing that it almost made Macklin believe in Benn's chances. The conversation with Nigel left a lasting impression, making him reconsider the dynamics of the fight and the potential for an upset. So what are your thoughts on this? Share your thoughts in the comments section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video.